So here we are, joined Tom again. Thank you.
Hello, Ted.
We
Hello,
feel
Kate.
like we're
Hello.
best buddies now. You keep joining us on our
Well,
podcast.
thank you very much for having me again.
It's lovely to have you, as always. As
It is
always.
nice.
So you're unlike last time. You joined us in our little studio. You've now joined us from the Burlinson Man Cave.
Yes, it's sort of office come junk room. You know,
That's that sounds familiar. That's
you can probably see memorabilia behind me on the walls, but yeah, so it's kind of yeah, that's what it is. So it's a cave, I suppose.
us men, we've got to cling to our caves for as long as we can, I think.
Yeah.
But that's yeah. Speaking of mess, that's why I hide the background, see, so that you can't see my man cave mess
Oh,
behind
okay.
me.
It's not as pretty as yours.
But that's right. Mine's more boy toys like Nintendo memorabilia and things like that.
Aha.
Where people are like, Ted, when are you going to grow up? So
Never.
the kids come in and they're like, oh, can I play with this? It's like, don't touch my toys.
Oh,
They're my toys.
okay. Yes, I've got some precious things in here too. Got the whip from the man from Snowy River, and different things from different jobs over the years.
How does it feel to be like? I mean, there's been plenty of Australian movies in our day, but none so iconic as The Man from Snowy River. I think like that'll go down as one of the most legendary movies of all time in Australia, I believe. Like, how does it feel to be the man so involved in that sort of thing? So it's been what 40 something years since The Man from Snowy River.
Yeah, we shot it in 1981, so 42 years ago is when it was shot. 1982 is when it was
Wow.
released. And look, it's just amazing, Ted. It goes on and on. The Man from Snowy River, you know. We had screenings last year in some of the capital cities where people had the opportunity to see the movie on the big screen again. And then I attended Q&A sessions afterwards, and they were so well supported. People loved seeing the movie on the big screen. One thing that makes it still enjoyable after all these years is that it was originally shot on Panavision with a Dolby stereo soundtrack. So technically, when you see it on the big screen, it still stands up even after all of these years. The landscape, the action, the sound effects, the music, it's all still very, very powerful. So and people love it. There are generations of kids who weren't thought of when we made the movie that are being put in front of it. There was at one of those screenings, there was this little kid right at the end in his outfit and everything, and he held out his stock whip to me, and he said, "Can you still crack this?" And I said, "Yeah, I can." I did, and did the double crack, and it was a perfect ending to the session, And I made a joke. I said, "Well, that whip's now going straight to the pool room." so, so there are kids who love it, and it just is, I suppose, it has become a classic of Australian cinema, just as the poem is a classic of Australian literature.
I mean, yeah, well, that's right. Like the old Banjo Patterson poem, of course. So that it's based off. So, I mean, there's been plenty of Australians, I think, are renowned for some of our not so great quality movies, the B grade type stuff, where our budgets have been a little bit thinner than those of our US counterparts.
Okay.
But I think we take it in our stride a lot in terms of the quality of our movies. But we've started to see that change a fair bit in Australia, haven't we? There's a lot of Hollywood now coming to Australia and New Zealand, to our brothers over there, to our brothers and sisters in New Zealand. So we're seeing that sort of finally come around. But for somebody, 40 years ago, like you said, it was such a technological thing then, and of course to be working outside as often as you must have been.
Oh yeah.
I just think it must be amazing to be one of those movies that it won't get brushed away under the rug and forgotten about. It'll be forever a legendary movie, and
it's going on, mate. Because I thought after the 40th anniversary last year, okay, that'll be sort of the end of it for a while at least. But this they're doing something. They're presenting it in a different way, in that it's called The Man from Snowy River in Concert. And what they've managed to do
Oh,
is take the music track off the movie, and they're
Hmm.
screening the movie on the big screen, but with the music being played by the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra in sync with the movie as it's screened. So this is happening in
wow.
Hamer Hall in Melbourne this month, actually. Next week it starts. There are four in Hamer Hall at the Arts Centre in Melbourne. Well, that was put on sale, and the three shows were put on sale, and they immediately
Oh, we
sold
cut
out.
out.
So they put a fourth
I
one
think we've
on.
lost
And
some
now,
audio
of
there,
course,
Tom.
it's coming to different places. It's coming to the Sydney Opera House early next year, but it's going to be another way of presenting the movie, and with that beautiful music by Bruce Rowland being played live by an orchestra. So look, and they've asked Sigrid Thornton and I to make an appearance at each of those shows, which we'll be doing. So it goes on and on.
So do you and Sigrid cross paths too often, or
Not
very
very
often these
often. I
days?
mean, we're still on very good terms. We became very close during the filming of the movie and the sequel of the movie some years later.
Mhm.
We don't see each other very often. She lives in Melbourne. I live in Sydney. But we always, we established very good contact as actors and as people from the first time we met, when she was cast as Jessica before I was cast as Jim, and she read opposite me in the screen test of the for the movie. And no, we always got on very well. So I'm looking forward to seeing her. And there'll be other people there at that first show. There'll be the producer, Jeff Burrows. There'll be the executive producer, Simon Windsor. Charlie Lovick, the master of horse, will be there. And of course, Bruce
Oh,
Rowland, the
beautiful.
composer. So looking forward to seeing everybody again.
That'll be, yeah. And I think, like you said, like the music, just to be in that sort of environment will be
Yes,
fabulous.
I hope so. I'm sure it will
Um,
be. Yeah.
Mm.
Now, speaking of fabulous music, there is a little bit closer to home. You're coming back to town very soon with your band,
Yes,
the
coming
Swinging
to
Big Bands,
coming to
joining you
Wyong
again.
at the Art House
Yes.
once again. We did our show Swing That Music there a couple of years ago, and had a wonderful night. And I'm coming back. I've done a little rejig, I suppose, Ted and Kay, of my original show, Frank: A Life in Song. It's now called Tom Burlinson Sings Sinatra. It's that simple, and, and there are the content is Frank Sinatra's greatest hits. And of course, I'll be
Yes.
bringing a big band with me to the art house. And I won't talk as much as I did in the original Frank: A Life in Song. I did a lot of talking in between the songs in Frank: A Life in Song in order to fill out the sort of history of Sinatra's career. So there'll be little introductions and little bits of information, but mostly we focus on Sinatra's greatest hits.
Oh, beautiful. So it's and that's well, I've got it up on the screen at the moment. That's coming up in September, I
September the 2nd,
believe. Your
that's
big
right.
band.
And
Yeah, 2nd of September.
yeah,
There we are.
let you
So
know.
get your ticks early, because last lot sold out reasonably well,
Yes, they did. We
and
had a sellout there last
now,
time.
yeah, the Art House does have their club membership. So if I know a lot of club members are snapping up the cheaper tickets as a result. That's beautiful. And like you've been doing the Frank Sinatra stuff for quite some time
Yes,
now.
yes.
It,
Well, it
I
was.
mean, obviously, this is a massive passion for you.
Yeah, it is. That was another thing that it's 25 years. So it's a 25-year celebration show, really. 25th anniversary of my original show, which was called Frank: The Sinatra Story and Song. And my wife and I, Mandy, danced in the show with a partner, and we had the Sydney All Star Big
Uh-oh.
Band. And this was originally, we took a mortgage on our house in order to finance this production in the middle of 1998. And we were originally booked to do just 12 shows at the Seymour Centre in Sydney. And well, we were in preparation, we were rehearsing, we had tickets on sale. And then 2 weeks to the day before we opened, the great man died. Frank Sinatra died. And
Yeah.
of course, there was a huge the exposure of in the media of the passing of this great legend of 20th century entertainment, which I have to say helped to raise awareness of our little show. Okay, so
Mm.
12 shows turned into more than 5 weeks there at the Seymour Center. We got great reviews. I think it was a bit of a surprise for lots of people that the man from a snowy river could not only sing but sing like Sinatra. And I had the wonderful Sydney All-Star Big Band. Our arrangements were based on the originals, and the show just took off. And it became far more successful than I ever imagined. We went on tour all around the country. We did return seasons in most of the capital cities over the following years. And then it led to me doing other shows, celebrating not only Sinatra but some of his contemporaries, and in that style it led to a whole new development in my career. There's no doubt about that.
Mm.
And I guess I say I'm still doing variations on the theme with this new show, the 25th anniversary celebration of my original show. So there'll be lots of songs that were in that show, plus quite a few more.
Excellent, excellent. Now, last time we spoke, I think last time it was just before COVID, so it has been a little bit in between. But did you get up to anything exciting during COVID period, the lockdowns and all that sort of business?
You know, it was very difficult for most people in show business. I mean, you know, the industry was really brought to its knees, as were many other, and lots of musicians, especially, and actors too. They worked pretty much hand to mouth, you know, so it was pretty devastating. I managed, with the help of my manager, to not have to cancel too much, but postpone shows into the future as we went. I mean, it was a very difficult time, but you know, and it's even, I think the effects of it are still being felt, Ted, in that, you know, people sort of had a reluctance to go out into enclosed spaces and sit next to strangers. I think also at the moment, of course, the cost of living increases have gone on, and it's not for the big name acts so much like Taylor Swift, or but for those.
I think she's doing all right.
Yeah,
I think she'll be okay. Yeah.
Or you know, Bublé just sold out, you know, stadiums. But for those of us who, you know, sort of make a living doing gigs in smaller theaters and clubs, and you know, it's a lot more difficult to sell tickets to shows than it was. It's starting to come back, but you know, so it has been a difficult time. I'm just very happy again to be able to be out there and doing what I love to do.
I'm happy that I could send the kids back to school.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, there were all kinds of. Well, I mean, I live in the northern beaches of Sydney, and we were locked down over Christmas. There were all kinds of things that, you know, were new to everybody to have to deal with. But and you know, I mean, I tried to keep myself busy, but it's a tricky thing when in show business you're relying on people to come and see what you do en masse.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you touched on Bublé there. Kay waited very patiently for.
Oh yes, because he postponed, didn't he?
Yeah.
And but then came back, and you know, everybody kept their tickets, and it was a huge success, I understand.
Yeah, it's a good show. This is my third time now that I've gone to see him. So,
all right.
Yeah,
No,
I take a kid with me each time.
Oh, fair enough. No, I
Ted
mean,
won't go.
Yeah, and
I'd rather go see you, Tom, to be honest, than Michael Bublé.
Good on you.
Thank you. Thinking of children, though, it's we have something in common. My daughter, or my eldest daughter, her name's Mia. And
so is my eldest daughter. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm aware, and I often think there were people that's like, who are you talking to? Because I'll often, even though Mia is not exactly the world's longest name, there's not many syllables in it, I'll still abbreviate it. I'll be like, oh, hey, me, what's going on? Or me, can you do this? And people are like, are you talking to yourself in third
Oh,
person when
me.
I'm
Oh, I
referring to
see.
her as me?
Hi, me.
And I was,
Oh, I see.
I was just wondering, am I the only father of a Mia that does this,
I
or
don't I haven't used me. Somehow it got not abbreviated but changed to Mim from time to time. Hi Mim, how you going?
oh, maybe that's what I should have done.
And I do use Mimi sometimes. I have to say
Yeah,
Mimi as well. So, but Mia, I mean, way back then when she was born, which is 24 years ago, it wasn't that popular a name. And of course,
No.
I
no.
remembered it because Frank Sinatra's third wife was Mia Farrow, and
Hmm.
and I thought it's such a pretty name, and Burlinson needs something short,
Yes.
Yes.
in front of it, and so yeah, and then of course it became very popular and became one of the top three female
I
names
know.
around that time. Yeah, so there are quite a few
We've had
Mias
many of
around
these
now, aren't there?
discussions over the course of 5 children. It's just like, oh, all these names that were sort of suddenly become popular, and
That's
Yeah.
right.
trying to come up with a name each time one's born that isn't the latest craze or anything like that.
Yeah.
But no, so it is just me. Then I'm just a Fruit Loop,
Oh no,
and
Mimi,
oh
Mimi. I don't. It doesn't go to me for for me,
yeah.
but she is Mimi sometimes. I have to say.
She's she's recently made me a grandfather, or made us a
Oh, congratulations!
grandparents. So it's you can't exactly have these little cute nicknames now when you're, I don't know, maybe you can.
Congratulations! I think that's wonderful.
Thank you. Now, you were sort of talking about Phar Lap
Mm.
as well. That's been 40
Well,
years.
it's the 40th anniversary of the release of Phar Lap this year. And the
Yes.
cinema, who started off this whole thing with the celebration of Snowy's 40th anniversary last year, the Cremorne Orpheum in Sydney. It's a beautiful, renovated Art Deco, beautiful cinema. They want to do a screening of Phar Lap this year, and again with a Q&A session with me afterwards. So that's happening in November, and then other cinemas in other capital cities have also picked that up. So we're doing that in not only at the Cremorne Orpheum in Sydney in November, but also in Melbourne and in Adelaide. So yeah, so Phar Lap, and that'll be around the time of the Melbourne Cup. And of course, Phar Lap 2, uh, it was again shot on Panavision, again with soundtrack by Bruce Rowland, who wrote the music for The Man from
Mm.
Snowy River, and Simon Windsor, who'd been the executive producer of The Man from Snowy River, directed Phar Lap. And I think it really, I think a script by David Williamson, again based on a true story. I had the opportunity to meet Tommy Woodcock, who I was playing, of course, and
Yes,
so
obviously.
Phar Lap remains a very special and very much a favorite movie, particularly for the horse crowd, the horsey crowd,
Yeah.
But it stands up very well. It's a good drama, and of course it's very tragic. What happened to that big racehorse, and the
Yeah.
and I think the relationship between Tommy Woodcock and Phar Lap is something that remains very dear to the hearts of Australian people. That was what, of course, I tried to mainly to portray in the movie.
Mm.
I think you did a very good
Yeah.
job with that.
Oh well, the big horse, Towering Inferno, who was cast to play Phar Lap. I remember this very clearly. That Tommy Woodcock came to meet him, and we approached the stable door, and Bobby, I always called him Bobby because that was Tommy's nickname for Phar Lap. Bobby was turned away, and Tommy Woodcock came up to the stable door and just stood there, and he said, "Bobby." That. And it's just like it obviously brought back, incredible memories for him of 50 years earlier. And he thought, that he looked very much like the original, the real Phar Lap. And it was just wonderful for me, preparing for the role, to be able to see his way with horses, to see his gentle but firm approach, and just helped me so much in my prayer, because I didn't try to impersonate him, but I wanted to get to the core of what I thought the story, the heart of the story was the relationship between, and the love that grew between the man and the horse.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's been great. And we'll look forward to seeing you in September again.
Thank you. I'm
And it's
looking
good
forward
to
to
see
coming
you
back
well.
to the art house. It's a great little venue, and
It is.
bringing the big band again, and just hoping that people will come and enjoy all. Gosh, as I say, it's really one great song after another. If you like this kind of music, we've got "Come Fly
Mm.
With Me," "I've Got You Under My Skin," "Lady Is a Tramp." It was a very good year.
All my
"One for
favorites.
Baby," "Fly Me to the Moon." It just goes. "Strangers of the Night." It really, "My Way," "New York, New York." It just goes on, and it's a joy for me, of course, and the musicians love to play all that music. So we're looking forward to another swinging night there at the Art House on September the 2nd.
Swinging night. I love it, with the swinging
Mhm.
big band. We'll just bring up the promo
Oh,
real quick here for
we've
you.
changed.
Start spreading
You
the
still there?
news. I'm proud to present my brand new show, all of Sinatra's greatest hits.
That's life. That's what all the people say.
Performed live, as always, with my world-class big band.
I've got you under my skin and did it my way.
Tickets on sale now.
Magic. How good is that?
Mm.
So
That's
good. And
awesome.
you hit it too. You can still hit it just like it. It's fabulous. I love it.
Well, as long as you got to keep singing in order to keep being able to do it, because
Mm.
Sinatra's, he it was quite especially when you do that many songs, in a show, you've got to be in good shape to be able to cut it.
Yeah, that's right. And
Yeah.
is that you, with regards to your training and stuff like that? Are you just singing? Do you have a coach that you still work with, or
No,
anything
I
like
just
that keeps
it's
you fresh? Or
no, it's just I warm the voice up, sing it. I sing in the car a lot, Ted.
who doesn't?
Oh yeah,
Who
oh
does?
yeah, sing in the car a lot. People will see me.
I wish you wouldn't though, Ted.
So yeah, it's just a matter of doing it, and keeping all those muscles, and your breath control and everything in good shape. So
Mm.
yeah, no, I still have a warm up tape that was made by a singing teacher for me years ago, and that's what I do before every show, even all 25 years later, and it
Mm.
always, because it warms up the higher register and the lower register of the voice, and yeah, as I say, I use that every time before I perform.
Fabulous. All right, Tom. Well, thanks again.
Thank you so
And
much.
so everybody, get your tickets from the Art House website. Tom Burlinson sings Sinatra, coming September.
Thanks, Ted. Thanks, Kay.
You're welcome. Talk
Thanks,
to
So
you
Tom.
much.
soon.
Thank you.